I need another heavy. I've got TB and a quick draw.
I want to get fairly tight to it. Now, anybody who's going to be working range, I'm going to need you to fade right on this. And when anybody's running short, is going to stay towards the top of the caldera if we're going to come at them.
I have you in the Griff. Griffin.
Sounds good.
Well, that's the thing. We got to get to brawling range, so I may be moving us right up to the hoop if we have to.
Wolverine nach Charlie 4.
It's fine, chill the out, man, it's fine, it's just a 5-star.
Komm, Leute, redet miteinander.
15 seconds. Yeah, exactly. Don't die. Guys, 15 seconds, don't die. Guys. 3, 2, 1.
Charlie Dar, CT, yellow.
Okay, go, control your CV, go there. To your left, there's a... Sorry, shoot.
So, jetzt guys, hinter die Indie-Pocken.
Mediums be prepared to pull back E40 towards the E5 border.
On my mark. Left side, come on! Like now, I need strikes on OP barrel. Wire are strikes up.
Die Hauptgruppe rechts, Uferlinie.
They have 3 mechs sitting on the left side when you pass over.
Overheating is bad.
Both legs on the Griffin. Get the Griffin. Woo! Oh yeah. Sorry about that. That was such a That's right. I'm gonna spawn Lance, you guys in Charlie. Lance, you guys in Bravo. That's B2C1.
This third drop is 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults.
Lights in die Breite, CNC in die Breite. Lights, watch our backs. We're gonna about base and take up position in Bravo 6.
Ja, kurz Aufschaltung Delta 4, 3 Stück, 2 Mediums einleiten, wie ich es richtig gesehen habe.
Make a firing line. C4 Tactical Hill, boys. Fox.
Laufe unter ECM, hab 2 durchlaufen, 10 Bravo 4.
And get ready to hit people coming from a right. Charlie on the left, Charlie, a Hellbringer on the left. Okay, let's group up towards the left. We're gonna press through Bravo 3 to Bravo 4. I think they're kind of spread out. Check yourselves, make sure you've got, UAV cool shot. Here they come, they're pushing hard, guys.
Decro. Tez on.
Go.
Oh, got a contact here, Bravo 3.
Nice, Marshall. I'm on Delta Griffin. Well, if you cross it then, get in their face. They got a highlighter, they just pushed up on Theta. We need help on Theta. Up on Theta. Yep, that's the noise. Go. Let's finish this. Full pressure, guys. Full pressure. They're down low. They're down low in Charlie 3. Get the f***ing arm, Jackson.
Jackson, cool shot.
Golf. I got him.
Okay,
Go, P3, go.
Echo, go.
Get over on your medium, guys. Get Echo Stormcrow. God, I suck as a pilot, but thank I packed my skill. I'm sorry that you died, sweet girls, but we will send a reasonably nice letter to your family.
Greetings, Mech Warriors, and welcome to the MercStar Charity Invitational Semifinals match between Steel Jaguar and Seraphim Rising Storm. Should be a very good matchup. Both teams have been playing hard throughout the entire qualifying round. Steel Jaguar did have a bye, and Seraphim Rising Storm ended up defeating AIM to move on to the semifinals. So we're going to have this matchup, and the winner of this one will move on to face the winner of the other semifinals match, which will be occurring on Thursday, which will be Imperial versus 228. Should be a really good match, and that one I believe will be shoutcasted by the Magician, so make sure you guys tune into that on Thursday. Should be about the same time as this one. But in the meantime, though, We're going to be bringing you an exciting match, two very talented teams. 12v12s, of course, a little bit different for anybody who's been tuning into the MRBC shoutcast that we've been putting on, but this is a much bigger match, a lot more mechs on the field, and with a very unique rule set as well. I am Bandit P17 from the Marine Mechs. With me, as always, is my good friend MDM00.
Oh, is that what I am to you?
A good friend.
Yeah,
Yes,
apparently.
Apparently.
Okay. Well, hi, guys.
So, hopefully we'll have a pretty good crowd tonight. We will be doing some giveaways, a couple random drawings, as well as hopefully a nice big drawing dependent on the charity donations. This is, of course, a charity event. This entire tournament has been to benefit the Multiple Sclerosis Society. So, during the stream, if you donate at least $10, you will be entered into the drawing for a sizable MC package. For every $10 that you donate, you'll have multiple tickets. So far, the amount of people entering the drawing has been pretty light, so if you sign up, you have a very good chance of winning the prize. But regardless of the prize, you guys should be giving anyways, because we are incredibly close to our $1,000 goal, and would like to see if by the end of this tournament we can reach that, or exceed it, of course. It's a very good cause, so hopefully you guys can open up your wallets and help out. But hopefully the prize will be a nice incentive to add to that. So we will be watching. I'm actually going to quick throw this into chat. I think my Nightbot is still in here. Let's see. Bam! Awesome. That actually worked. So let's go. We are at $848.31 right now. So I want to see that number going up. Obviously, it's tax deductible and all that jazz, so definitely donate and make us look good like we actually were able to accomplish something. On to...
Wow,
no, this event obviously was put on by MercStar, and it is for a very good cause, and much definitely props to them for putting this on. It's been an exciting tournament and a pleasure to cast. So hopefully we come down to a very exciting conclusion, and hopefully we definitely meet or exceed those goals for the charity itself. So definitely. As for the match itself, like I said, it's a very unique rule set compared to some of the other leagues we've been watching. It is a 12 versus 12, and the drops alternate between tonnage requirements and class requirements. There was 5 different maps that we're going to be playing on. All of them will be played on Conquest. There is a requirement of at least 6 and at least 6 clan and at least 6 inner sphere mechs. So there has to be a healthy spread between those two groupings of mechs. And there's a maximum of 2 of every chassis, so we will be seeing, at the very least, 6 unique mechs on the battlefield per side, minimum. Strikes are allowed throughout the entire match, so we won't have any problems with that. So drop 1 will be on Mining Collective. It is a relatively light drop at 500 to 525 tons. So expect to see most likely some streaks in use here. We'll see a lot of lights running around, lights, mediums. I don't think we're going to see any assaults here. If we do, it's going to be definitely kind of a tricky deck to work with, because in order to fit those assaults into a 500-ton drop, you really have to make a lot of exceptions on your deck. So, Mining Collective Conquest with a very light deck. What do you think we're going to be seeing here? Is it going to be straight up brawl? Do you think we're going to have a little bit of a standoff, working the cap points?
Well, I think we've seen some really great plays, especially in these 12v12s, with ranged decks on Mining Collective. For example, I believe it was 228 in the 228 MercStar match. 228 did a ranged deck. Now, admittedly, They had to forfeit that drop because it was an illegal deck, but they brought a ranged deck and did very effective with it on Mining Collective, just getting mechs kind of on the different levels of terrain spread out where you can get firing lines basically everywhere.
I think this is the
on
first
that
time
map.
we've seen Mining Collective on this light of a drop, though. Am I
Yeah,
right?
but I was about to say, but this drop is a little too light, I think, to go with a ranged deck. I think you're going to see just the traditional fast brawl. The other interesting thing, unlike MRBC, one of the other big tournaments going on right now, clan streaks are allowed, and you will see a ton of them in this drop 1. There's just so many lights that you bring streaks. It's what you do. I think the deck's just going to be so fast that it won't matter whether you do range or not. I mean, a range deck's just, I don't think it's going to work on this drop at all.
Yeah, I can agree with that, and I am afraid to see a massive amount of streaks used, but one team may opt to go for straight up SRMs, and in a light drop, those streaks are really hard to pass up, and they are a very superior weapon and easy to use, easy to get off. You'd almost be silly not to take them. But
the fact that you can neutralize a light mech in one trigger pool with them just means you have to take them.
There's a little bit of RNG involved, of course, because you're not actually aiming the weapon. You just get your lock and pull the trigger. And those SRMs, those streaks can spread. So it's one trigger pull, you kill them in one shot. One trigger pull, you just spread it all over their body, and they continue to work.
Yeah, and then you kill them in 2 trigger pulls. I mean, the fact that you can negate these light mechs, especially against these sort of level of teams, SRS, SJR, 2 of the better teams in the game, obviously. The pilots are so darn good that light mechs, what a lot of people consider to be the hardest class to play in the game, can be so devastatingly effective at this level of play that you have to bring the streaks, because frankly, the light mechs are the most effective, mechs right now going on.
Absolutely. I mean, you leave them alive, and you're going to have a hell of a fight to the end, basically.
Although there's no oxides.
There is no oxides. You're right. There are no hero mechs or any mechs that are not available for C-bills in this. That is the other rule set that is a little bit interesting. So oxides being kind of the premier light in use right now, you will still, of course, see Jenner 2Cs. You will most likely see fire starters, Arctic cheetahs, things like that. But sky's the limit, I guess, on your choices here. You usually see about 6 lights in this drop, and if Jenner 2C and Arctic cheetahs take up 4 of those, the clan mechs anyways, then crows will be the rest of them, or you could bring maybe even mad dogs if you wanted to stretch that far.
Yeah.
And the clan tech does do a really good job at using the tonnage wisely. You get the extra couple tons off of using an Arctic cheetah over, say, a fire starter. Well, you'd use them both, but the fact that you're not committed to bring only 35-tonner lights, it allows you to bring something a little bit higher ton down the road. So
it's a good point. Yeah.
But both teams are now in lobby, and they are getting readied up, so we'll hopefully be getting into the action relatively quick here.
Yeah, I think you're going to see probably, some... Well, actually, let me correct myself. With the Jenner 2C now being a fairly viable comp mech as well, especially with the oxides being out, I think you'll see a pretty even spread of clan and inner sphere for both lights and mediums, and if they do choose to bring a heavy on this as well, because there's some viable inner sphere medium brawlers, and then of course you have to bring those streak boats, the Storm Crow. We've seen Mad Dogs in this drop as well, streak Mad Dogs,
especially in more wide open maps, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that can be taken into consideration is the fact that this map can favor jump jets, and that could potentially negate the Streak Crow and Streak Mad Dog and things like that in favor of the mobility. But you would really have to play it expertly to take advantage of that without getting killed in the process. And if anybody's going to pull that off, I think that these are the teams that can do it. So if anybody's going to pull off some really amazing maneuvers to negate an entire weapon class, we'd see it right here. But I think if I was going to roll the dice and go to Vegas with it, I would say both teams are most likely going to boat streaks, or at least bring a solid amount of them.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens. We're heading in right now. So we have Steel Jaguar in blue and Seraphim Rising Storm in red. Which you would think it would be opposite of that, because Steel Jaguar's all red and stuff, and Seraphim's all blue all the time.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of contrast going on. Mixing and matching. Once again, thank you for the wonderful dolly cam.
And here's a
PGI.
couple Mad Dogs right here. Entire lance for Seraphim is 2 Stormcrows, 2 Mad Dogs, just right in front of me.
Yep, I'm right in front of you too. So Mad Dog streaks, Stormcrow streaks, Stormcrow. So we do have at least 4 mechs with streaks on it. Let's go over and take a look at the opposite side, which is Steel Jaguar. Griffin
Did bring a Hunchback
2N.
for SP. That's a nice tanky mech for this sort of drop.
Stormcrow is rolling streaks.
Couple Stormcrows. That's 2 Stormcrows with streaks, and the rest are your more traditional light brawlers. SRS definitely has more streak mechs.
Absolutely.
A lot of SRM brawlers.
The question is, though, is in order to
SJR.
move up to those heavies, what did they have to sacrifice? I don't think I see a single heavy on Steel Jaguar right now. So in order to bring those Mad Dogs, they had to ton down somewhere else. So we do have some initial movement
There's
on
Mad Dogs or
Theta
SRS,
area
just to
by
clarify.
SJR. It looks like they're sending T-Fun in the Arctic Cheetah. He has not started the cap yet. I think he's waiting. He may know that they have an angle on him here. No,
And
okay.
SRS looks like they want to bring them out into the open to use those streaks. They have picked the most open spot on the map here, and they've just got their tags ready to go. If
So we-
SJR didn't know they were streaks now, they sure do with those tag lasers flying across the map.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a dead giveaway in the comp when you see tag.
And
So
there's all those UAVs popping up for SRS. They are just waiting for those locks.
So SGR in blue, you know, they have cap advantage right now. Not much, obviously, but 2-1. But it looks like they are going to commit to the brawl. So they're working on taking down those UAVs. And here we go. Initial streak volleys pounding into the Griffin 2N, taking him down to 60%. But it's better than a dead light. Just a massive hail of streak fire coming in on
This does not look like
SGR.
a fully committed brawl, though. There's only a handful of them at first went in, and now they're all getting in. The first light already went down.
T-Fun goes down, but an
for
adder
SRS.
goes down for SRS, yes. So we are still pretty
one of
even.
those Mad
Now the
Mad
Mad Dog
Dog
goes
just
down.
went
That's
down.
going to
That's
be
a big
pretty.
loss.
Yeah, that's pretty big. But now the Fire Starter goes down on SJR side. Another Fire Starter
light just
goes
got
down
big.
for SRS. Just a massive brawl in the center. SJR is starting to get their focus together,
Stormcrow went
but it
down
is now
for SRS
4
now.
down on both sides. They're going to work down the Blackjack. They have a good front on him here. They need to kill him quickly, though, because they got guys nipping at their heels. Blackjack does go down. 5 mechs remaining for SRS. SJR is on cleanup mode right now. Next is going to be Vonka in the Mad Dog. He does go down, and this is starting to tip in favor of SJR. Good, solid brawl push. You know, if there's any way to beat streaks, it's just get in there and beat the cooldown, because they do have a massive cooldown, and if you can get in their face and start drilling them and start taking those streak boats down, they'll get 1 or 2 shots off before hitting the dirt. And that was very well executed by SJR. Now SJR is
do
down
have
to
a,
five remaining, though. So
They have a Blackjack still alive for SRS, but unfortunately he just shut down, and he was an ER large build. He's not going to be doing very well in this close of a brawl.
yep, he goes down
goes
too.
down.
And then the Spider 5D is the last remaining for SRS. So quite a few mechs went down for SJR. They had a little bit of they started regaining ground there towards the end, but SJR did a good job cleaning house and finishing up. Doesn't matter how many mechs they lose in this league. It is all about just the wins, losses. So massive battlefield full of dead mechs.
Yep. You know, and I thought it was the only complaint I might have about that initial movement by SJR. One, probably could have taken down the UAVs before they pushed. Whether it really
It
would
looked
have
like
made
they were
much of a
kind of
difference.
working on it, but they were moving while they did it, for
Yeah,
sure.
and then the other thing is just they led with the Griffin. I almost would have rather have seen them led with the Hunchback 4SP. I think it's a little tankier than the Griffin. That's about my only complaint. I think with really what they did the right thing. They pushed in hard. They went after the biggest streak mech, the Mad Dog, very quickly. They stayed focused. They didn't let those streaks really get to them too much. And the other important thing is they pushed with their mediums first against a streak deck. That's very important. Is if you push with your lights, if the first volleys from those streaks come and they engage into light mechs, I mean, they're dead. And you've already lost those mechs. At least with the mediums, you can take the initial volley like that Griffin did.
Man, Jaeger in the Stormcrow, I believe it was a Streak Crow, 636 damage and 5 kills. Definitely got left alive very long, and
the other
was able to do
Stormcrow
some
as
work.
well. The Pie Maker did 588, 2 kills, and the other Stormcrow, the only 2 streak mechs
I think
on the
they
team.
did a really good job sending their beef in first and allowing
Yep.
those Stormcrows to stay alive. The firing line for SRS really seemed to have their, their weaker streak mechs right on the main charge line, and
Yep.
and they were the first ones to die, and that might have been a key difference in the outcome.
It really
of this
felt
one.
like those Mad Dogs were right anchoring in the center of their
Center.
firing line, which in a normal drop, you'd want the biggest mechs kind of to be there, but with the streaks, one, you have the range on them, and it doesn't matter. The travel time really doesn't matter that much once you lock on, as long as you've got open cover. And two, you know those streak mechs are going to be the first ones to be targeted. It's the same thing, even if you don't. It's like how MRBC used to be back when clans were a little bit better than IS. I don't really want to start that whole argument again, but when the Stormcrow used to always be the first focus target, whether it was streaks or not, the Stormcrow had to stay in the back. You had to give other targets to the team, the enemy team, so that they call those other targets first, and then if they want to get the Stormcrow, they're going to have to switch off targets. So it's an important timing between making sure that you're not too late showing up to the fight where your teammates are already dead, but you're not too early where you're going to be the first focus target, and I think SJR did a perfect job of that.
Absolutely. And we are catching now the replay from MD's perspective here. So he's going around and taking a look.
Drunkenly sailing around the map.
Sailing around the map, yes. Cool. Get that set up. So yeah, as you can see, they have the firing lines set up, ready to receive, and you made a good point that they were setting up in the open to be able to use those streaks very well. But the first mechs that SJR sees as they jump in there, streak mechs. And the Griffin did a very good job at taking those initial volleys and then ducking immediately into the tunnel. So he kept himself alive and was able to rejoin the fight almost immediately as they switched targets. So here we got SJR then charging up the primary ramp here, working down an Adder and a Mad Dog, but losing 2 lights in the process. In this case, when it comes to streak mechs, I think that's a pretty good trade. They do get a Firestarter S, but now SJR is actually down on kills, losing a Blackjack and 3 lights now, which is can be expected when you're up against a heavy streak deck. But then the Seraphim Rising Storm mechs just start to fall. The Stormcrows are down, a Blackjack is down, an Adder, Mad Dog, the other Streak Adder. So the Adders are most likely bringing streaks for sure. So that's 6 streak mechs right there. And all of the streaks are down at this point, and so then you've just got cleanup on the final Blackjacks.
They did bring at least one Overwatch Blackjack that I saw at the end, and that engagement was 3 ER large lasers. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the best build for this map, especially with the fast drop.
Oh, and there's the Flamer. Hunchback with the head Flamer.
New
Just
meta.
locking down the ER large. She can't do anything. All
in all, just a really clean brawl by SJR. I felt not not really any complaints there. Like I said, maybe the only thing could be send the Hunchback in first. It is tanky, but that's about as nitpicky.
And
as
to be
nitpicking
fair,
can be.
they could have sent the Hunchback in first as well. You can't just send them in and wait. They all went in, and there was a period of time where SRS basically was able to choose the target they wanted to kill. So the Hunchback could have very well been the first target in by 0.1 second, but they opted to target the Griffin instead, identifying it as a more hostile target. So really it was up to SRS who they wanted to kill in the end there, but the Griffin, good heads-up play after taking a volley to immediately duck into that tunnel. So very well done. I would have almost picked a target that was a little bit more on the inside that had no ability to escape like that, because the Griffin, after breaking that lock, immediately rejoined the rest of his guys and popped in. And that, of course, brings me to thank you, PGI, for hot-fixing Conquest and Domination today, so we did not have to sit here and wait for a 750 ticket cap. As soon as it realizes that there's no possible way for the other team to win, it ends it immediately. So mad props to PGI for listening to our feedback and immediately changing it as soon as possible, writing in the appropriate logic, and it works perfectly. That's all we needed. Thank you very much. So we are going into drop 2 with Steel Jaguar being up 1-0. Now this is a best of out of 5 series, so they don't have to play all 5. We hope they do, but they don't have to. So we'll see how that goes. Pretty good crowd.
And the other thing to point out here, I think, is the drop 1, because it's so light, isn't always an indicator of how the rest of the game is going to go, the rest of the series is going to go. We see it all the time, especially in MRBC, but also in MSI, where the light drop just plays so differently than every other drop that, trying to predict, okay, they won the light drop, they've got all the momentum sort of thing, it's tough to do.
Absolutely. So we have a pretty good crowd in here today, so I think I'm going to go ahead and fire up the first giveaway for the day. We are going to give away 500 MC. That's a pretty damn good haul for just coming in and watching some competitive MechWarrior online. We will be giving away more throughout the night, so make sure you guys stick around. Round and around and around it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows, but whoever gets it will be a happy person. Not only did they have an awesome Lucky Charms event where they could pick up a bunch of MC, but stack on top of that a nice 500 MC pack. And it is going to Grim57. Congratulations! You are the winner. Make sure you say something in chat. Ooh, yay, winner is you. We'll send that over to you after the stream is concluded. Both teams are now in lobby, and we're waiting for them to ready up. So let's talk about River City. 4 lights, 4 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults. Little bit heavier drop, especially forcing a couple assaults in on either side. What do you think we're going to see here? Still Conquest might have a little bit more of a pokey deck, but it is still a very fast-moving
I think it's a fast-moving deck. I'll be curious to see what they do with the assaults. I think there's maybe 2 schools of thought. One is that you bring, for example, 2 Maulers, and you run just the kind of Mauler Overwatch, except it's a little dangerous with having that many lights on the field. You could get into a little bit of trouble there. We've seen the Executioner actually get some usage just because it can have some of a little more speedy, add a little more speed to your assaults sort of thing. It's tough to say. I mean, I think traditional school of thought on this light drop would beat a Brawl, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a mixed Brawl kind of Overwatch style deck by both teams, really.
Sure. I mean, it'll be really interesting, especially if one team opts to pick like a mid-range or long-range deck to play Overwatch purely, and another team brings Brawl. How are they going to react to it? River City, out of all of the maps, I feel, besides, of course, Polar Highlands, I think we've been seeing a lot of cap play done here, and I think we've seen a lot more cap wins on this map than anything else we've seen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of methods to get to cap points under relative cover, and you know, you can't stagnate too long in one position without having somebody contesting the points. So
Yeah.
if we're gonna see some sort of cap race, this might be the map that it's gonna happen. So it'll be really exciting. We've seen a lot of really close wins here. They do not need to keep all of their mechs alive after the patch. You know, they can die and still win on caps if they have a sizable lead. So that's going to be in the back of both drop commanders' minds. So we'll see what happens as we go into drop 2.
I think traditionally we've seen in the past teams that control Theta or play to control Theta, even if they don't actually capture it, have a lot of success on River City. But I think lately teams have been starting to figure out how to get away from that strategy and how to counter that strategy without necessarily having overwatch or control of the Theta position. Like you said, there's a lot of cover to basically every single one of these cap points. Even Theta itself, while it doesn't have cover immediately on the cap point, has a lot of cover around it with the rock garden, the rocks in the water, and the citadel. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
All right, both teams will be riding in on their dropship stallions, so we're going to be waiting to see them come in. We'll see how they're set up. In blue, we have Steel Jaguar, and in red, Seraphim Rising Storm. It looks to me like we are going to have Seraphim Rising Storm starting out on city side, and Steel Jaguar with the Theta advantage, some might say, on starport side. So on Rising Storm, we are getting a good look at their initial drop deck. They have Stormcrow, Blackjack. Streaks yet again brought to the field by Seraphim Rising Storm.
And it looks like SJR is going with some streak mechs and also some SRM brawlers again. There they are, the Maulers. One Mauler, maybe two Maulers. A Mauler and a Banshee 3M, actually. And Black Knights, they do have some Overwatch from that Mauler, the Banshee, and the Black Knight, as well as kind of a mix of streak and SRM builds as well. So a mixed Overwatch brawl deck. I think that's kind of what we expected on this map. So we'll have to see how they choose to play that and where they position their Overwatch. Now,
we did have on Seraphim Rising Storm side Banshee 3M, Grasshopper, Stalker 3H, ER Large. So a very healthy mix of long range and the streak mechs to play anti-light. So they're doing some pretty good Overwatch with the ER Larges, but still have the capability of brawling if the lights get too close. Now West Side came up and took a peek to see what they're up against and was able to get out without a scratch. So good maneuvering by that light pilot, but it looks to me like they may be conceding Theta to SJR. Now, right off the bat here, Seraphim Rising Storm picking up 2 caps, Sigma and Epsilon, both on their side. SJR just sealed the deal on Kappa, and so with an even 2-2 cap, they can't stay the entire match like that and win. They would need to take Theta if they were going to win on caps, so at some point, they'll have to think about flipping it. Now, while this is occurring, we're seeing heavy light movement by Seraphim Rising Storm over to Kappa. They're kind of sneaking up that edge because SJR has committed to having everybody in starport. They look like they're itching to move here.
They're committing for a push, and it looks like they are going right now. They are pushing.
So the Seraphim Rising Storm lights are a little bit out of position, but they are on their way as fast as they possibly can. Let's see how far SJR can get before those lights join the battle. The timing may be perfect here for Seraphim Rising Storm's lights to get in there and start mixing it up.
And the Magician just got stuck on the rocks down in the water. He is getting torn up a little bit by some of these guys. He is the Banshee pilot on SJR.
So the lights have entered the backfield. For this. The lights have entered the backfield. They are catching a Mauler 90X in the water and backcourt him quickly. They tried to get help from the streak Stormcrow, but he wasn't able to help the Mauler. He is still doing work, but he is getting swarmed now by the lights down in water. Brutal fight, but it looks like they might be tipping it in favor
just went down as well.
of
Both
SJR.
assaults now down for SJR.
So they did, but those streak mechs and the SRM mechs are doing really good work in water to kill several, and this
Oh,
is going
man,
heavily
that's
in
brutal.
favor of SJR. So all of that work to kill those 2 assaults was not enough, and Seraphim Rising Storm falling very, very hard. Only 2 mechs down, and Salama, the last one left, in his Street Crow. And he does die. So we missed a lot of what happened up in the city because of that action down in the water. We had it up in the top part of our screen there. But as you can see, SJR with some superior focus on top of ER large mechs with, I would say, very brawly mechs. And it didn't take much to shred them down, especially once they hit the heat cap.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the limiting factor. So if it really felt to me like SRS was in a good position to receive that. They had mechs in Upper City, they had mechs in Rock Garden, they had those lights coming in on the assaults, and then all of a sudden it just felt like they couldn't put the damage out anymore, and they must have hit the heat cap on those ranged mechs. And with the a little bit more of a brawl mech, SRMs, autocannons, AC5s, really. It kind of allowed SJR to keep firing during that. And despite, I think the other thing about that was, despite the fact they got the Mauler down quickly, the Magician and the Banshee stayed alive a lot longer because of the fact that Jaeger came back in that Stormcrow to deal with those lights, and they had to peel off and engage the Streak Stormcrows, kept the Assault Mech alive a little longer. Those lights just got absolutely demolished by those Streak Mechs, and the game was over at that point.
One interesting thing to note, the 2 Blackjack 3s for SRS being held to under 100 damage apiece. They most likely were running ER large lasers themselves, but I have a feeling they were probably the lead targets and were dispatched incredibly quickly. And despite the 2 assaults for SJR being killed relatively quickly by the lights, they still pulled 300 damage apiece, and that really is quite the equalizer, being able to do that much damage and being the only mechs that
being
are destroyed.
The focus targets,
Being the focus targets, yep. I mean, it was a very good movement by the lights to get up behind the assaults and take them out, but there might have still been a little bit of a timing issue present, because the lights had just begun their move to go play the cap game, and that's the precise moment that SJR decided to make their rush. So the timing could not have been better for SJR, and I think it did assist them to basically allow them to traverse the water without any real issues. I think the Mauler stood back a little bit and was able to spend some time shooting, and then when he finally did attempt to cross, didn't really matter. By then the battle was already flipping very heavily in favor of SJR.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'll point out with SRS and the deck that they brought, I saw a lot of ER large lasers, like a 5 ER large laser Grasshopper. It's great for those initial trades, but on River City, I don't like bringing ER larges, at least not to Upper City, because that cross across the water really isn't that long. And, if you're going to go range, I'd almost rather see large lasers and AC5s sort of on this map, because you're really doing a mid-range poke for most of the battle, unless you go play like water side and pull back way into the water and basically just force them to charge straight at you. Maybe then ERs are the way to go, but I just felt like that all that extra heat for the range advantage that it gave SJR really cost them in that match. They just weren't able to match the DPS. As soon as SJR crossed the water, game was over.
And I'd really be interested to see here how well the SJR lights were able to get in there and mix it up, really being much closer to the battle than the SRS lights were, because of that initial movement to cap. Whoever made the call to go right then, I would hope that it was based on information that they received. It could have been dumb luck that they called it when they did, but I really do think having SRS lights that far away gave them a great opportunity to traverse relatively untouched, and by the time they got into brawl range, no doubt SRS was riding the heat cap hard. And there's the Magician getting stuck in the rocks. He's still moving though, and he's still dealing damage. He's still doing work. And then here we got the SRS lights just finally entering the battle, and by now I'm sure we've seen several kills already in favor of SJR.
There's actually only one kill at the point when the lights entered, but so much damage taken by SRS. And just watching this again, I agree with you. I think those lights would have been much better served just a little bit faster into the engagement. They showed up basically as the last couple of stragglers were trying to cross the water, and the rest of SJR was already on the other side. It was just a few seconds sooner, I think, might have made a much more of a difference than what we saw in this match.
Not only that, but you've got, the assaults for SGR in the water being assisted by the streak boats in open terrain. But at the same token, the light mechs harassing SRS in the city have a much easier time avoiding the streak SRMs being able to zip in and out of buildings while harassing and killing. The terrain, I think, worked in SJR's favor as well, just having that open area to fight in. Yeah.
Just a really, again, I think a solid job calling the match. Like you said, that push was perfectly timed. The movement was perfect for what they were trying to do.
The focus was fantastic.
Focus was fantastic, but I mean, people look at MechWarrior, I think, and they think, okay, you shoot the red triangles and don't shoot the blue triangles. Thank you, Box, for that video. But at the same time, so much of it is decided by movement. So much of it is decided by the deck that you bring, where you engage, all this stuff that I love watching high-tier gameplay, because you get to see just all the things that go into whether you win or lose. And it's not just, okay, they're shooting better than we are. I mean, SRS is not a shabby team. They're a really good team. They're really good shots. They're really organized. They can focus well, and it's just in this sort of engagement, every little thing matters, in the littlest details. The fact that they were SJR was a couple seconds faster than SRS's lights in getting back there, and that they timed it so that the lights would engage their anti-light mechs in an open ground, whereas the opposite was true for their own lights. I mean, when you think about it, okay, is that more important than being able to shoot well or focus fire? Well, no, but in this level of play, this high tier play, that little advantage just means so much to these teams, and it just steamrolls into what looks like an easy win. But when you think about what all went into it, the drop calling, the planning, the practice, etc., it's not necessarily easy, but it pays off for them.
Absolutely. So this being best out of 5, this is essentially match point for Seraphim Rising Storm. They need to pick up a win here to stay in the game. They have to win out if they are going to move on to the finals. Steel Jaguar with a sizable lead at 2-0, taking it into Caustic Valley. And as the drops get heavier, it's hard to say which team a heavier drop would actually favor at this point. Steel Jaguar has just been playing so clean and so precise that it's it's going to take I guess a miracle for SRS to find their rhythm this late into the match. But things that we've had comebacks before, comebacks can happen, and once you start getting momentum in your favor, you can roll that all the way to a solid finish. So definitely rooting for SRS to at least take a couple matches here and make this exciting. But so far, though, SJR just playing so clean that they have quite the task ahead of them. Both teams are now in lobby and are readying up, so let's talk about Caustic Valley. 625 to 650 tons on this one for Drop 3. Still in Conquest, another map where we've seen some solid Conquest play done.
Yeah, this is the map I think we've seen. I know you said River City, you've seen a lot of them. At least from my perspective, I feel like Caustic is the one where we've seen the most Conquest plays done. Or at least maybe some of the most memorable Conquest plays so far. For example, in MRBC, we've had some great matches.
9th
on
STS
Conquest.
versus
9th STS versus
was it Black Spikes or
Black Spikes Mercenary Company, Corp Company, whatever. Black Spikes.
That was an incredible last minute maneuver. That was really
maneuver
cool.
There. AS against Lords, I believe, won Conquest on Caustic Valley, so it's definitely conducive to that. We've seen so far in these first two drops, it looks like SRS is a little more willing to do a ranged engagement. Even the first drop, they were sitting back with streaks, whereas SJR is just pushing right into them. I think Caustic favors those that push if they've got the heat-efficient brawl builds against the more heat-locked range builds. So it'll be interesting to see, I think, if SRS does a little bit of a different strategy in order to kind of recognize the fact that Caustic is a really hot map.
It should we should see it increase time to kill at least a little bit here.
But then again, Caustic's also a very big map. So if you did want to go range, it certainly got the range to do it.
Since they updated the map, though, there certainly are many approaches, as we saw, for example, in the match that EU match that I casted on Caustic. One team able to approach Intari Scorpions in a way that they were able to stay in pretty good cover all the way up until the brawl started. So there are methods to cross, but it really depends on positioning, and the further back in the corner you go, the harder it is to maintain cap possession. The other problem being, too, that it's so difficult to kill enough mechs with range in 12v12s. I really do think 12v12s favor brawlers, just because of the amount of work it takes to kill one mech, and then you have 11 more to worry about. On the SRS side, we have two Mauler MX-90s, most likely running the 5 AC5 build. Actually, two Ultra AC5s and an AC5 from Salama, and the 5 AC5 from Aod. I don't even know what you're supposed to call him. He yells at me for calling him ADH.
We do have two Maulers again for SJR, mostly a brawl build, but they did bring a Jägermech S with dual Gauss, and I'm going to spectate this because I really want to see how they can play this Jägermech on this map. It's obviously no heat concern whatsoever, but it's fragile. It's a Jägermech, so if they can sit in the back and pop some Gauss rounds downrange, it'll be great. But right now it looks like SRS is not willing to sit back and play some Overwatch. They've moved up right to Theta.
Yeah, they do have a decent amount of pulse mechs that can fight in a decent brawl, but they are maintaining their Overwatch, and they did have a little bit of scratch damage at the start. G-Man and the Stormcrow down to 64%. That is a pretty good victory for them, considering essentially SJR just has the one cap. SJR, though, wasting no time, and they are moving around the outside, but they have been spotted by Vorpal's Sword and the Arctic Cheetah. Good scouting by him, and dropping an airstrike. Doesn't look like it hit anything.
And this is a good call. They should not be pushing through Theta. It is so hot, brawling in Theta, and SRS is waiting on the edge. They don't want to be in Theta as well.
Now, the solid scouting from SRS, the question is how are they going to react to this movement now? Are they going to be able to position themselves to receive on this new side? They definitely have the information they needed from their scouts, and that was a fantastic job. Information is power, but let's see what happens here. Now they're sending their other Arctic Cheetah, Sheiked, up the left side to take a look. So it looks like he's able to get some eyes on the Jägermech, who's kind of a little bit behind, but mostly just a standoff at this point. And with a 2-cap advantage, the tickets are slowly going in Rising Storm's favor. Looks like they
have been taking Theta as well.
Yeah, it looks like they just flipped Theta as well, so they're going to get 3 caps now. It is contested, that's why this is flashing, because a mech got shot well inside the point, but now it is being capped yet again, and they have flipped it into a 3 cap. A couple light mechs were working their way towards Kappa, and the ER large is sitting in the back, are able to scratch anybody who sits on Kappa and prevent him from capping. So that little ER large, like, chain fire is enough to essentially get the lights to give up their pursuit of Kappa, and SJR is in a sticky position here. They're stagnating at this point. I think they're talking about it, trying to figure out an approach, and it looks like they are actually setting their lights up the right side, preparing for a pincer. It looks like we might be going here. All right, so the lights coming up the right side and a pincer, the main body coming up the left side, and we're going to be heading into a brawl fairly quickly. Let's see what these lights are doing in the meantime. They are jumping on an Arctic Cheetah. Only, it's basically 4v2 on this side. A Stormcrow is joining the fight, and while this is occurring, Where did the rest oh, okay. I was like, where the hell did the rest of SJR go? They swung through and actually joined their lights on the right side. So majority of them are together, but they did leave their Overwatch behind and are pounding them from distance with the Jägermech. The Core Knight and the Griffin 2N rushing straight through. Nobody's died yet, but Core Knight is about to go down. He does. And now
This Hunchback Glory
the Hunchback Glory goes down as well. So the early damage is starting to catch up to him. They did take the Hunchback 2C down, but percentage is very much in favor of SRS.
Another mech goes down for SJR. Another Griffin.
The lights are starting to get in on the backside here. SRS can seal the deal, though, if they can maintain their focus.
And they've got to get this Mauler down in Theta. The Magician in Theta has a torso open, but he is just laying AC5 rounds downfield right now.
3 dead and about to be 4 dead for SRS, and the killing for SRS has slowed down. 5 now, but everybody is so hurt. It's spread all over the place. They need to start sealing the deal, or it's going to start flipping in the other direction here. But it is looking like this one is going to go in favor of Rising Storm.
Yeah, they just got 3 kills in a row there. They have got this one in the bag. They're a little bit heat locked right now, but it looks like they're going to cool down a little bit, slow this down, and get those final kills.
Legged Arctic Cheetah versus a Mad Dog. Ouch, ouch. Well, he's getting some kills, but it's going to be a lot of work for Jaeger here to finish the job. Tickets also heavily in favor of Rising Storm, so even if they pulled something off, this one is definitely going in favor of Rising Storm. And that could be the momentum they needed. They had a really good setup there, and they had the control points. They forced SJR to have to make the first move, and they had a really good firing line and a good reception. They didn't freak out by the lights, and then SJR cut across the center to join their lights, actually kind of giving up the pincer. I'm not sure what the plan was there. They did have Overwatch in the back, tossing, it looked like dual Gauss from Jägermech S, and then the Mauler MX-90s, but, you know, that was pretty brutal. I mean, Jaeger did top damage in the Streak Mad Dog, but for the most part, damage is relatively low. Most of the damage came from the Overwatch.
And a nice job with the spread damage for SRS. The lowest damage on their team, 121 in the Arctic Cheetah, one of the mechs that died, but otherwise basically close to even, within 200 points of damage basically across the board. And I really felt like SRS did a great job there, setting up to receive, knowing that they were going to push into them. They had the cap advantage. They spread out a little bit and received basically right into a wide firing line where it was a little bit harder maybe to push into one mech without taking fire from all directions. And they used some of that terrain up in the caldera to force the Overwatch mechs to move a little bit more than maybe they wanted to. You know, they fought in the lower ground, but there's so many rocks and hills and peaks and things around that caldera that you really, I mean, you can't just stand on top of the caldera and shoot down. You gotta expose yourself and get into a dangerous position in return in order to do that.
Absolutely. And the focus fire on those initial 2 mechs from SJR was fantastic.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how brawly the 4SP is, if everybody, all 12 mechs pretty much, were pounding him in the face, he went down just as fast as any other mech. I think with that quality of focus fire, even an Atlas would have died just as quickly. So very good focus fire by SRS. Really helps that they're able to essentially plant their feet. And here we kind of have an example in the replay. Valkyrie fire chasing off any of the lights, trying to get a cap on Kappa. They could not flip it back because of the Overwatch. It's too risky, and any attempt to take it, they could get scratched. I think maybe also SJR recalled the lights because they were planning on a maneuver here. So they brought the lights back to the opposite side of the caldera to attempt some sort of pincer maneuver. So that could have been the other factor. I think the lights, if they stuck it out, might have been able to recap Kappa, but based on the builds, I think SJR smartly realized that there's no way they can win the cap game at this point, and that they were going to need to take it in for a brawl. This one may have been won or lost in the mech bay, essentially. Just based on Overwatch actually working here with much more difficult approaches for SJR to take, essentially. Rising Storm did a good job at getting their focus in when they needed it most. And they had their lights with them this time. Maybe that was the other big factor compared to River City.
The game changer right there, yeah.
Is they had their lights to bear, and they were able to do work right off the bat. Would definitely be interesting. I think the lights were basically playing anti-light duty, which is pretty big. They had a lot of SJR lights over on the right side mixing it up, but they didn't get into the back sides of the heavier mechs, and I think that was definitely a factor.
Yeah, and I think I would have liked to have seen SJR. They formed up, it almost looked like for an initial split push, and I think I would have liked to have seen them do that more than the push that they did, which wound up basically being all to one side with the Overwatch just kind of moving up to the edge of the Caldera. I don't know if a split push would have worked in that situation, but SRS was set up so perfectly to receive that push into the saddle that it enabled them to make their focus fire that much easier. And you know, when you got a team that's as disciplined and as good as SRS is, you really shouldn't be making it easy for them. You know, they can already do it anyway, so why not make it a little more challenging? But like you said, you know, we were surprised. Where did the rest of the SJR mechs go?
I completely lost track of them.
Yeah.
Like, I expected them to come around the other side, and they were just ghosts.
Yeah,
and that extra movement, I think, could have even cost them time and energy too. They lose 2 brawl mechs coming in right off the bat, and then spend more time maneuvering to the opposite side. It's almost like they should have gone to that side in the first place with their initial charge, if that's what they want. If they wanted to find a better approach, but going in head on and then splitting off to that side just spent more time taking damage from range mechs than need be. If they committed to that pincer, it might have turned out a little bit differently, but it almost seemed like maybe there was a little bit of regret there on the initial charge, and they tried to fix it, but it was too late.
Yeah, I think that was the first 2 drops were very clean by SJR. I think that one was very clean by SRS. SJR didn't seem like they had the same efficiency and purpose in their movements as they did in the first 2 drops, and SRS, on the other hand, quickly went for the conquest points, quickly got the upper hand, used their Overwatch to enforce that, to hold on to that upper hand, and then was ready for SJR as soon as they made a move, and it was just a well-played match by them.
I think compared to River City too, another big factor here is they're not running 5 ER large grasshoppers on this one.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, they're bringing the BJ1Xs. It was a lot of pulses because they were a little bit closer to their enemy compared to River City, but in the end I think it worked in their favor because they're able to put out a higher output for less energy compared to like high long burning ER larges. You know, the pulses do the same heat as their regular laser counterparts, do more damage, you know, and so the heat per damage is significantly higher with pulses, and on a hot map like this definitely makes a big difference. So I would say that a good deck choice by SRS, and it definitely worked in their favor. And so suddenly they're back in the game. We're not over yet. We're going into match 4.
Yeah, and I think anyone that watched the first 2 drops and just instantly counted SRS out, you know, probably just doesn't know comp play as much. SRS is a very, very good team, just like SJR. They weren't going to take this lying down. Obviously, the first 2 drops, I think they might have been maybe caught off guard by the strategy. Just SJR played a really clean match. Hard to come back from that when you're not necessarily set up for what they did. But this time they set up for exactly what they wanted to do. They executed it perfectly, and SJR wasn't able to counter that. I mean, as we mentioned before, when you're this close in skill level, you have teams that are this good playing, every little bit matters, and being able to execute that cleanly is the difference between winning and losing, as we've seen.
Absolutely. So I'm just throwing the charity link back into chat. Remember, this is a charity event. Make sure you guys go in there and donate. We are not going to be giving away the big MC pack if nobody donates. We're not just going to hand it out. We are giving, and in fact, I can set up here, we can do another giveaway for 500 MC right now. but the big MC pack is going nowhere if we don't get more donations. So definitely go in there. It is for charity, the Multiple Sclerosis Society. It's a very good cause. So get in there and give. So then we are going, while I do this, we are going to be heading into drop 4 HPG Manifold 3333 drop. So we do have some assaults. What do you expect to see on this one?
Well, it is HPG, so I expect to see some jump jet overwatch getting up on the walls. We're going to see some long distance trading. But I think at 3333, you might not be able to get all 12 up on those walls. So we very well might see a mixed brawl overwatch deck again with maybe some heavier brawl mechs. Maybe moving towards the center trying to control, and some overwatch lighter mechs with jump jets able to get up on the walls. Get to those portions that are obviously only accessible by jump jet mechs and use that to their advantage. So that's kind of what I expect to see. The other thing with HPG Conquest is that the cap points are not necessarily in a great place, if you ask me. Having so many cap points outside the walls is, in my opinion, not really conducive to the best gameplay, but it'll be interesting to see how these teams play it if they decide to go for cap points. Obviously, there's the underneath cap. So
I've been seeing a lot of good work done with Overwatch. I think back to that strat that 228 was running against SJR, and it almost worked. Essentially keeping your main body outside the gate, sending in a strike force to take Theta, and as soon as SJR committed to chase them out of Theta, in they go, forcing SJR to stay down below, but SJR quickly escaping the basement and swinging around and able to bring their guns to bear at an even level. That one literally was a mere couple seconds away from going the other direction if 228 was able to shoot SJR as they came out of the basement, but the good heads-up play by SJR, realizing we can't get stuck down here, go, 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 they were able to get out and get their guns to bear, and that was very close, but it was a very good strat by 228, and it almost worked in their favor. It turned out to be an incredibly close match, so hopefully we'll see something similar now, but let's go ahead and do this giveaway. So for 500 MC, around and around it goes. Oh, Jesus. HQ just posted the GIF.
So wrecked.
Ah, I hate you.
So wrecked.
Ah! Don't show that to people, even though I put it up on Reddit, because it was pretty hilarious. And the winner is MechWarrior24. Congratulations. Say something in chat so we know that you are actually here. But you are the winner. MechWarrior24 wins 500 MC. We will send that to you after the stream is completed. Both teams are in lobby and are readying up, so we'll be heading into HPG Manifold pretty quick. 3333 drop. Should be a good one. Let's see what happens.
Oh man, HQ, you're killing us.
We call him HQ because he's British. That's about it. Because
It's not because he's British. It's because he's British, so he sounds like the guy from the intro to MechWarrior 2, right?
Yeah, Alpha Assault, what is your situation? Yeah. He sounds like a Brit. So we call him HQ. That's his legacy as a game. Yeah. Good fight, though, so far. I'm really glad SRS was able to bring this back a little bit. But, like I said, in order to win it all, they are going to have to win out. Because they are down 2-1, and in order to win it, they need to get best of 5. So they have a long road ahead of them, but hopefully they can take that momentum into drop 4. Press the green button, people. We got people waiting. This was 3333, so tonnage didn't matter. Both teams are relatively close to each other in tonnage, though. So no giant discrepancies there, which makes me wonder, maybe we won't be seeing too much in terms of Shadow Cats, or maybe both teams have the exact same idea. You know, we've seen a lot of Shadow Cats used up on the wall as kind of a Overwatchy style of mech. Very easy to get up there with ER larges. But who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they'll just straight up bum rush the center and brawl it out. That'll be fun. I do like the slowed down matches. It's easier to call. But we'll see what they bring. Whatever it takes to win, that's the key.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, drop 3, SRS still needs to win this. This is a win or go home for SRS at this point. So this is their opportunity to get it to the big tiebreaker, but we'll see if they can do that or if SJR can finish them off in drop 4.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shadowronin2, for the follow. Definitely give me a follow if you enjoy watching competitive MechWarrior Online. We've been doing a whole bunch of shoutcasting over here and over at the MRBC League channel. So definitely give it a look. Here we go. HPG Manifold. That video was funny.
Savage.
Savage! That's an old video, but it's still pretty great. Alright, I am over on the Seraphim Rising Storm side. Taking a look over at their lighter lance. We do have Stormcrow with large pulse, Arctic Cheetahs with small pulse. If I can click on him, and I can't click on him because he's too fast. Looks like a Jenner 2C.
Too fast
2
for me.
Timberwolves, 2 Blackjack 3s, Stalkers, Mauler MX90s, and Grasshopper 5 from Seraphim Rising Storm. What do you have over on the SJR side?
Mostly a range deck. We see the Mauler, but then we've got Jaeger and his traditional Timberwolf. I think he just has a requirement in his contract that he must always play that at least once a match, or once a comp game. We've got the Black Knight, typical build, but then we've got some Blackjack 3s with range, a Banshee 3M with a little bit of a pulse build, and a Shadow Cat, which is up on the wall now, and he is getting some initial trades, but I think he's getting the wrong end of it, and he is dropping off the wall. Also have the Hunchback 2C with 4 ER large lasers as well. See if he could do a little bit better than that Shadow Cat, but at this point I think they've only got a few mechs on the wall and a lot of SRS mechs looking at him.
Well, got some strikes coming in here. They're going to try and get an air strike, I think, on Glory. No, it was an arty strike. An air might have actually fared a little bit better, coming straight
and here's
down the
SJR.
gut.
It's got another lance going right up to the center, getting on top, seeing if they can maybe get some angles on these guys on the wall.
If anything, it could get their... They have to get their attention away from that main gate, though. If these guys can get them to start paying attention to them or get them to move, that strike force sitting out in the gate could do some work. Now, they have taken Theta, so SJR has the cap advantage, and it looks to me like SRS might be taking the bait and sending some of their guys up top, but they're going to be able to get scratched from that wall. There is an Overwatch mech over in the far side by Kappa, Arctic Cheetah, but he is purely, I believe... I don't think he has any sort of poke capability. No, he has smalls, so he is doing nothing but scouting at this point, and it looks to me...
And there's a Stormcrow has gotten... Some of these SRS mechs are danger close to that group sitting in the wall.
Yeah, the Timber just took a massive hit from the Black Knight, and SJR is going to pounce on him now, and he is stuck. He is not in a very good position. It looks like SJR wants to finish the job. Oh! Devastating hit right to the center by the Pie Maker. Well-placed shot, and he goes up with 1 kill now for SJR. It looks like SRS is trying to work the guys in the gate, get their strikes in there. The Ruza is stuck against the Magician. The Magician could not return fire, and both Maulers are getting shredded down. That was kind of a misplay there. That the touching of the Maulers really cost him, and the more hurt Mauler in the front wasn't able to continue returning fire. That effectively took Magician's shots out of the match, and they're moving on to the Banshee.
By the way, the touching of the Maulers.
That I honestly think Magician was most likely screaming in TeamSpeak, "Get the fuck off of me!" because it basically looks to me like it might have cost him quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now it is 3 kills on both sides. So SRS now in the
And
low
Glory
ground.
is one touch in that blackjack. She is about to go down, but she did pull back a little bit, try to take some of the fire off.
Big strike on Airside here. He's already cored out, pretty hurt. Let's see if that strike can do some work. Does hit him a little bit here.
And that Valkyrie fire is also one touch in the Stormcrow. There are a lot of really damaged mechs here.
Now, the problem here, though, is SRS is in a killing zone, surrounded from all angles. This is a desperate fight for anything. And while SJR has a lot of hurt mechs, being in that position is gonna get them killed.
Yeah.
They stagnated in the worst possible place, and essentially SJR took up the high ground and was able to just completely decimate them from above. So losing their initial momentum there, and especially having the Timberwolf down with ease at the beginning, is pretty rough. But down to 2 mechs remaining, I think they needed to continue their movement, because look at all the dead bodies right here. Just not the place to stay.
Yeah.
And getting
It was
hit
a
from
great
all 4
initial
angles.
movement, I think, especially getting those maulers down. But you're right. They needed to just keep on rotating right through. You know, press W for victory there, get your NASCAR mode engaged, and get out of that kill zone as fast as possible, and they weren't able to do that.
So Lord of the Sky Knight in the Blackjack 3, last remaining mech for Seraphim Rising Storm. They do have the cap advantage, but it is going to quickly switch in favor of SJR. A lot of hurt mechs on SJR's side, so if he can put some expert shots in without taking too much return damage, it will definitely help him out. But left-hand peeking with a right-handed mech, that's not going to do too much for you. Let's see if he can get a shot on this Black Knight. And he does.
And he does.
But he's still taking shots from down below. Jaeger in the Timberwolf is pretty hurt, but he's popping Goss PPC all over him, and that's all she wrote. This one in favor handily by SJR, even though it looked a little shaky at the start. That killing zone really, really cost Rising Storm. They needed to get out of there. And I have a crash, so make sure you get the scoreboard. So that's all she wrote for Seraphim Rising Storm. Well fought. 4-4, but SJR takes it cleanly, 3-1.
And I guess I see why Jaeger always plays with a Timberwolf. 4 kills, 4 assists, 690 damage, top scorer in the match. I mean, he was basically left alone that whole game to just sit there and pump 45-point alphas into enemy mechs like it was nothing. We also see, let's take a look here, the Magician and Rouza in the Maulers. Too busy touching, not enough shooting. 132 damage and 100 damage for the 2 of them. But as you said, just SRS, good damage really across the board. Not too much to be upset about other than Wraithfire in the Timberwolf S. 16 damage.
And that was the guy that got face hugged by
yeah.
the Timberwolf. They really needed to keep that Timberwolf alive. I think it could have made a big difference. It's a tough position to be down a heavy mech right off the bat. It was clearly a positioning issue and a good heads-up play by SJR to go hunt him down and fearlessly shred him down, but really SRS could not help him in that position. He would have been better off taking a mad dash to the basement, but opted to try and hide around the corner, hoping his team could get shots at anything that came at him. But the execution that the Black Knight essentially just executed, basically, he just walked up, full alpha right to the chest, completely uncontested. So that was pretty rough. But like I said, though, a little bit of a flub on the Mauler. I put a lot of stock in that because losing 2 assault mechs that easily is pretty brutal. But stopping in the killing field and getting completely surrounded by SJR is, in my opinion, what ended up costing the match for Rising Storm. But still, well played, well fought. It was a lot closer than it looked on the scoreboard, guys. That could have easily gone if you kept the Timber alive and if you didn't stagnate in the killing field, that could have easily gone in Rising Storm's direction.
I think even if they just didn't stagnate, I felt like they had a lot of momentum when they got those Maulers down.
And here we're seeing on the replay right now.
Really seemed like they were in a good spot.
Yeah, we're seeing on the replay right now the mad charge to just put everything they can. The Maulers touching each other, both of them killed in rapid succession. And just good work there. And this is where it all went wrong, in my opinion. Stopping here. Now they had to work down the remaining mechs, but the stopping is was brutal. Like, you can't stay here. They
Yeah,
should have
you can't stay
continued
with that
working
wall.
through, and they should have gotten up onto the ramp and finished it up. But, they... man, it's rough. Because you've got guys up on the wall right there. You've got guys up on the catwalk right there. You're desperately shooting wherever you can, but there's no reprieve. If you're cored out, they're hunting you, essentially. And anywhere you
it's
go...
coming from every angle.
Yeah, everywhere you go, you
much.
got somebody trying to kill you. And I bet you that right there is going to be the end of this Stormcrow that we're watching. Valkyrie just trying desperately to get anywhere that he's safe, but even moving up to the other wall, somebody's looking for him, and it's just swinging very heavily in favor of SJR. Good heads-up play by SJR to get up on that wall and start firing down on him, but I think that was more of SRS giving it up, unfortunately. Just they had to continue that momentum. They had to. And they could have sent somebody up the other side, too, up onto the catwalk. Instead of having to run through and up the wall, you could have pincered anybody that went up there. But they just kind of stayed down below, and that cost them. Be interesting to see if any of them are watching how it sounded in comms. What happened there. Was there a call made to stay down, or did it just kind of fizzle out? Feel free to chime in.
Yeah, you're right. It's just, I really do think they had the momentum. If they had continued through, that might have been a much closer match and even a win for SRS. But just stopping there, you got 3 walls. You're in a very small area, and you got 3 walls around you that are accessible to SJR's mechs. It's too much. It's way too much.
Absolutely. So Lord Sky Knight desperately trying to get anything at the end here. He does get a good shot on the Black Knight, but unfortunately the PPC Goss Timber is too much for him and ends him quickly. Well played, though. Good effort. Playing all the way to the buzzer. So that means SJR will be moving on to the finals for the MercStar Invitational. On to the finals. The results of the other semifinal match will be on Thursday. Make sure you guys tune in to the Magician's channel. He will be shoutcasting 228 versus Imperial along with Vonka. Nobody actually knows.
SRS.
Nobody actually knows what to call him. Is it Vonker or Vavanka or Wonka?
I like Wonka.
I say something different every single time. I say something different, so I'm gonna say Wonka. But yeah, he will be the co-caster for the Magician. So adversaries will come together to call that match, and then the winner of that will move on to fight SJR. Should be good stuff. Well played. There's your scoreboard. Jaeger and the Timber doing a fantastic job, pulling quite decent numbers there.
That dual PPC Goss Timber never quite goes out of style when he's piloting it, does it?
And then, of course, the Black Knight's doing some really, really good work, too. Especially with the Pie Maker and that execution on the Timberwolf.
Absolutely, absolutely. But, I think, unfortunately, SJR won it 3-1. We didn't get to drop 5, so it could have technically been closer in terms of the matches. I think those matches were very close. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is, again, as we've said all night, at this level of play, the littlest things, losing that Timberwolf early or just maybe even in the drop deck, can just make it feel like such a huge difference between one match to the next. But these were some close matches. These are 2 very good teams, and this was actually a lot of fun to watch. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as Bandit and I did. But this is some really great gameplay. So
absolutely. So thank you. God, these names. What are they doing to me? Respuka. How am I supposed to pronounce that? Respuka. And Scaven DC and Smotty, thank you guys for the follow. Definitely appreciate it. So last call on the donations for the big prize. I did see some donations roll in, so we'll be getting the names from Sace for those and punching them into the giveaway tool. But go give. Every $10 you give, you basically get a ticket, and we will be giving away 4,000 MC. So definitely give to the Multiple Sclerosis Society, so it's for a good cause. You should be giving anyways. MRBC side, I will be shoutcasting on Sunday. It will be, what is it? 42 Smoke Jays versus SIG, Division B. Should be a really good match. MD is going to be with family for Easter.
Yeah.
So he will not be
apparently
co-casting.
the only person in Mech Warrior Online who is doing that.
Yeah,
so
he's the only one that cares about family.
I apologize.
However, I will have a guest co-caster, the return of Seriothrax. Is that even how you say his name?
Siri? That's how I say it.
Is it Seriothrax?
It's like the iPhone person, right?
Seriothrax. He's
I
going to be
just
co-casting
Siri
with me,
is the
so
iPhone person.
should be fun. Hopefully he actually does some drops so he knows that the game still exists and that it still involves shooting each other with lasers and stuff like that. But should be good stuff. So he will be my co-caster for that match.
I think when you cast, you'll just find out what the meta was when Siri last played.
It'll be like, well, it looks like they didn't opt for any jump peeking PPC mechs.
Yeah.
So that's a
Didn't
bit of a
opt for
shame.
any Dragon Slayers. Not sure why they're bringing these quick draws. Those mechs are terrible.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
So,
might be an interesting
Old
cast.
man Siri. But yeah, that should be good stuff. And PGI is actually posting up a weekly roundup of competitive stuff. So if anybody is part of a league, is running a league or anything like that, make sure you send an email to Tina. They put up the email address on the post. Make sure you get them all of your recaps and all of your schedules and stuff going forward, so we can draw more people in to watch competitive MWO than just competitive players. I obviously love having all you competitive players here, and you have a lot of fantastic input, and you really like watching people duke it out. But I really do think that there's an audience out there that will enjoy watching competitive MWO that doesn't necessarily play it themselves. And so we definitely want to appeal to that audience and stuff and get them in here. So definitely get those posts updated, and let's see if we can get some new meat in here to watch the action and stuff, because we really do have a lot to offer. And competitive MWO has been pretty fantastic to watch, not just play in, but actually watch. And of course, a lot of new shoutcasters doing their best to essentially bring this to a wider audience. So got to give them a lot of props as well. So let's see here. I think just checking on. Oh, Siri's actually in chat. I didn't even see that.
There we go. And while we're talking MRBC and competitive play, feel free to, in my shameless promotion, give out a read to my MRBC review preview post. I do a previous week in review, next week preview. Comes out every Monday evening, Tuesday morning, sort of thing, depending where in the world you are. You can read what happened in MRBC last week. You can laugh at my predictions for the next week. We're putting some team spotlights in, and then you can just giggle uncontrollably when you see how poor my record is so far in predicting MRBC results. I also like to add in a little bit of humor, hopefully. I think you guys might enjoy reading them, clicking through the links, seeing the silly things that I put in there. So check them out. Give me views, make me feel good, that sort of stuff. I appreciate it. Try not to be too mean in the comments. Yeah, the usual.
Cool. Just trying to get the final list of the people who donated. Looks like we got another $45. So we're ever closer to our goal. Hopefully on Thursday, and then of course whenever the finals are, we can get the final stretch of the $100 to meet our goal and exceed it. And I believe a thank you goes out to PGI for providing these codes and stuff to give out to you guys. Obviously, they didn't need to do that, but they've been doing a good job at embracing leagues and stuff like that, and putting a lot more of a focus on competitive. So definitely thank you to them. So just waiting and waiting and waiting. And waiting. Poking Sace repeatedly with a hot poker.
Upgrade soon to autocannons.
Yes.
Just
And
reading through the chat here, definitely SJR comms were interesting, apparently, during that match. I'm assuming the Maulers touching probably was quite popular
the
discussion
Maulers
point.
were touching inappropriately. Yes.
Yeah.
Seeing like a mostly fresh magician desperately trying to bring his guns to bear, but being rubbed up on by the basically sticked Mauler.
I think that was Rouza, right?
Yeah, Rosa. So, but they still came out with the win.
I mean,
So it's
we
neither
all
here nor
wouldn't
there.
pass up an opopportunity to rub up on Magician every once in a while, so
It
you
is
can't
true.
really blame him.
Absolutely. Hey, Syria Thrax, I got your name right. Woo! Awesome. Good stuff. Sace, if you're listening, I'm trying to poke you and get a list of donations.
We'll type that in chat, see if he comes back to us.
I hope he didn't like say, "Hey, yeah, $45 and then leave," because I don't know who donated today. He's supposed to get me a list of names. See if he's still in the viewer list here. Sorry for the delay, guys. You still have an opportunity, I guess, since we don't have the list yet, to donate if you want to get in there. Twitch.
Oh, Siri.
He basics his cheetahs.
Cheetahs, yeah.
Whoa! Getting into the meta now. Now you gotta get Oxide, Siri.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're aware, Siri, right now, but the cheetahs are the most OP light in the game. I read it on Reddit the other day.
Mm-hmm.
So at least you have something with the current meta. So there you go.
Salama providing a little bit of input to Peep Smash. Didn't realize how quickly the box was closing in tunnel vision on the Maulers, as SJR probably intended. It may or may not have been an intention. I mean, I think they jumped on it, but I don't necessarily think that was a plan. I think SJR was a little bit worried and then maybe even panicked a little bit. But the basically tunnel vision did end up costing that momentum. So I think that was a little bit of a break for SJR. I didn't run around screaming for about 30 seconds trying to figure out what to do. Jezebel is glory, and I really wish I was a fly on the wall in SJR's TeamSpeak on that one, because it was most likely chaotic. Come on.
Siri's claiming to be the most relevant Tier 3 caster, but until I read a thread on Reddit saying, just entered Tier 3, what's going to happen to me, posted by Siri, I don't believe it.
Let me take this to the next level as I jump into MercStar's TeamSpeak.
We are escalating the problem. It's always a good thing to do. You can't blame one guy, blame a bunch of guys.
I'm going to mute this real quick. Alrighty, I finally got the frickin' information. I only have first names, so whoever wins will have to message me. Step forward, Fear Not Death, thank you for the follow. So I'm gonna do the giveaway right now. We had one person give quite a bit of money, so thank you very much. Let's do this. Somebody named Jeff gave quite a bit. Thank you very much. Charles, the underdog. Let's see if he gets lucky. Oh, Charles almost picked it up. Almost, but Jeff
Almost
does get
clutched
the
it.
win. Whoever Jeff is, Jeffrey, definitely toss me a note. And we will get you that code for 4,000 MC. Congratulations. We are done. SJR takes Seraphim Rising Storm 3-1 and moves on to the finals. Hopefully we'll have a really good showcast for that. Thursday night is the other semifinal match. 228 versus the MP. Make sure you tune in to the Magician's channel where him and Wonka will be casting. But have yourselves a fantastic night. See you later.
Good night, guys.
Pay attention to the paper doll. Make sure you guys are shooting the correct legs. Be careful of the collisions. I don't want to hear complaints about it. Work around it. Let's play this game.
I need another heavy. I've got TB and a quick draw.
I want to get fairly tight to it. Now, anybody who's going to be working range, I'm going to need you to fade right on this. And when anybody's running short, is going to stay towards the top of the call there if we're going to come out.
I have you in the Griffin.
Sounds good.
Well, that's the thing. We got to get to brawling range, so I may be moving us, right up to the hoop if we have to.
Wolverine nach Charlie 4.
It's fine, chill out, man. It's fine, it's just a 5-star.
Komm Leute, redet miteinander.
15 seconds. Yeah, exactly. Don't die. 15 seconds. Don't die. Guys. 3, 2, 1. Charlie Jar, CT, yellow. Okay, good. Charlie, see if we can get it.
Daar, to your left is there. Sorry, so, jetzt guys, hinter die Indie-Pocken.
Mediums be prepared to pull back E40 towards the E5 border. On my mark.
Left side, come on! Like now, I need strikes on OP barrels. Why are our strikes up?
Die Hauptgruppe rechts, Uferlinie.
They have 3 mechs sitting on the left side when you pass over. Overheating is bad. Both legs on the Griffin. Hit the Griffin.
Sorry about that. That was such a
That's alright. I'm gonna spawn Lance, you guys in Charlie. Lance, you guys in Bravo. That's B2C1.
This third drop is 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults.
Jetzt in die Breite, zieht euch in die Breite.
Lights, watch our backs. We're gonna about base and take up position in Bravo 6.
Ja, kurz Aufschaltung Delta 4, 3 Stück, 2 Mediums, ein Light, wie ich es richtig gesehen habe.
Make a firing line.
C4 Tactical Hill, boys.
Fox.
Laufen unter ECM, hab 2 durchlaufen, 10 Bravo 4.
And get ready to hit people coming from our right.
Charlie on the left, Charlie, Hellbringer on the left.
Okay, let's group up towards the left. We're gonna press through Bravo 3 to Bravo 4. I think they're kind of spread out. Check yourselves, make sure you've got, UAV cool shot. Hey, here they come, they're pushing hard, guys.
Decro. Tez on.
Go. Oh, got a contact here, Bravo 3.
Nice, Marshall. I'm on Delta Griffin.
Well, you cross it then, get in their face. They got a highlighter, they just push up on Theta. We need help on Theta. Up on Theta. Yep, that's the noise. Go. Let's finish this. Full pressure, guys. Full pressure. They're down low. They're down low in Charlie 3. Get the f***ing arm, Jackson.
Jackson, cool shot.
Golf. I got him.
Go, B3, go.
Echo, go. Get over on your medium, guys. Get Echo Stormcrow. God, I suck as a pilot, but thank I packed my skill. I'm sorry that you died, sweet girls, but we will send a reasonably nice letter to your family.